Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm just going to warm up the room a little bit while we wait for our guests to arrive. If I'm not mistaken, you should have access to an open Wi-Fi here called UTech Guest. You can make a note. For those who know me, I'm just going to put that out there that you can get on the internet on UTech Guest. And for our first giveaway of a thumb drive, I'd like a student to come and tell me a little bit, say 2 sentences or so, what this session is about. Just put up your hand and I'll call on you. What is this session about? You don't want a thumb drive? Okay. Look at it, it's pretty. You put it on your hand, I think. Okay, sir, please.
I think it's about the digital switchover of our TV network.
It's close enough, right? We can give you black is okay? Yeah. You didn't want the pink. All right. Oh wait, we have photo op going on here, people. I'm sorry. Let's do that over and make sure you get my good side. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. If someone looks on the table and tell me which gift item they'd like to get, except these, then I will ask you a question. So is there anything that you see that you'd like to get? You have, who wants a water bottle? Okay, all right. I mean, the people who are working, don't stress me out. Participants, you'd like to get a water bottle? Okay. What is the name of the regulator of broadcasting systems and networks in Jamaica? What you have? Who wants to win a water bottle for her? Who knows the answer? Don't shout. It's like class now, you don't shout. We need to wait and get the answer. Yes, sir.
Broadcasting Commission of Jamaica.
He asks with an intonation at the end. You are correct. Should I give her the water bottle? And then what would you like to get? You want water bottle too? All right. De qué color? You want blue? Photo up. Yes, he did. Okay, that's great. So, want to thank everybody coming in. As they come in so far, please remember to sign the registration sheet at the front. We would appreciate that. All right. You want one more giveaway? Maybe a thumb drive again. Whose favorite color is blue? I see. Y'all getting onto the Wi-Fi, the internet? Okay, cool. Question. Who can name 2 of the persons who are partnering with us for this presentation? Sorry, the people who like blue. Okay, let me get down to the blue people. We're kind of biased into the students first still. So I'm going to bias for the students first. Yes, we want to make sure that they are informed. Sir, name two of our partners for the presentation, please.
Is it Ready TV and Broadcasting Commission?
And so he also asks with an intonation at the end. And yes, you are so correct. Very good. Seems we can get started soon. Thank you so much, everyone, for your participation thus far. Okay, I will officially get started and we'll work on our greetings until our speaker arrives. So this afternoon, it is my great pleasure to open this information session on digital switchover for Jamaica. Our objective for today is to sensitize the wider community and I'd say the UTech student community in particular about this impending change for our country. We want to look at the impact that it will have on our society and the opportunities and challenges that it will present. All our partners that are sharing with you today have an interest in digital switchover in the areas of regulation, employment, and the deployment of business. And so we are happy to have them share with you, and I'm sure you will learn more about each of our partners as we go along. At the end of the session, we hope that you will have an increased awareness and understanding of the subject matter. I want the students especially to pay close attention, and as we demonstrated initially, we'll have some giveaways for you based on what you've learned and the understanding that you demonstrate. Please ensure that you sign the registration sheet at the desk and that you complete a feedback form, as we would appreciate that information from you. And so I look forward to your active participation. Thank you. On our agenda today, I'm pleased to introduce or to bring to the podium Dr. Noel Brown, the head of School of Engineering, to welcome you to this session. Dr. Brown. I'd also like to invite the president of GIE, Mr. Dwight Ricketts, to come to the front. Dr. Brown, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Ferguson. Ladies and gentlemen, students, good afternoon. As part of the objective of the School of Engineering, we see ourselves as trying to help in the dissemination of information and increase public awareness. So we were quite pleased in working with the Jamaica Institution of Engineers and IEEE in putting on this very, very informative seminar. You can trust me on that one, it will be informative. And we want to get this switch over, I think, is a very topical issue, and people have a lot of questions and concerns about what will happen in the near future. And as a result of that, I'm sure that most of your questions will be answered this afternoon, and you'll get a chance to hear from the experts. I too do have my concerns and my questions, because my television that I have in my room is over 20 years old. Will it work when the switchover is finalized? So, on behalf of the School of Engineering, all of the lecturers and staff, faculty and staff of the School of Engineering, and wider Faculty of Engineering, I'd like to welcome you all to the University of Technology. If this is your first time here at UTech, please come back and participate with us. From the side of the Jamaica Institution of Engineers, I think Mr. Balvintorp has been very instrumental in putting on this seminar, and he and his team has worked very hard. So I'd just like to, I hope I'm not stealing your thunder, Mr. President, I'd just like to say thanks to Mr. Thorpe and his team for putting on what will be an informative session. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, let me just welcome you to the University of Technology and to this very, very informative session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. I'd just like to invite Mr. Cordell Green to have a seat. Wait, we need to bring it a little closer. Mr. Green is not late. Please note. So happy to have you here. All right, want to make sure that we can see. Let me. Okay, thank you. All right, I'll ask Mr. Ricketts at this time to come and bring greetings on behalf of the Jamaica Institution of Engineers.
Thanks. You know, when I came in the room, I saw the antennas, and it brought back memories of my childhood days. One of the activities were the actual aligning of antennas. Somebody would be on the roof, somebody watching the set. How you look? How it look? Stay there, hold it, don't move, hold it, tight there. And I grew up with that background. My children don't know that type of life. They are used to the cable box. So it was quite pleasing to come in and see Ready TV's antenna. When I look on their promo, it said that they should actually use an outside antenna. So outside antenna, although it has been around for a long time, it's still here to stay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you greetings from the JIE, Jamaica Institution of Engineers. It's a 40-year-old organization which promotes and fosters science and in particular engineering to its members and to the wider public. We have both student chapters and we have different class or categories of membership. And this evening I'm quite pleased that one group or one division, the electrical division, which is headed by Engineer Thorpe, have collaborated with our partners here today to bring us this very important forum where we'll be able to discuss that transition from analog to digital. This year the GIE has a thrust of partnership and involvement within the organization and also with external partners. So it's very timely and very important that we see this venture as one which is beneficial not only to the actual members but to the public at large, because the whole issue of digital changeover is important and it affects everybody. It will affect everybody. you know, going back to childhood days, it was analog watch. Now we have digital watch. So digital is here to stay. The world is gone digital or is going digital. I looked at the website today and I realized that a number of countries have actually made the transition, and Jamaica has embarked upon that route. So ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Jamaica Institution of Engineers, I greet you well, and I look forward for a very fruitful and the airing of this actual subject.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ricketts. Mr. Christopher Yadega will bring greeting. Mr. Christopher Yadega will bring greetings on behalf of the IEEE.
Good afternoon, everybody, our co-lecturers, students, and staff here present. I use this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you here. Actually, Devon Gay is supposed to be speaking as the current chair. I'm the immediate past chair of Institution of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. Institution of Electrical and Electronic Engineers is a body that controls the technological association in the whole world. We have a Jamaica section, and Jamaica section is Jamaica is only black country in Region 3, which covers southeast of America. It's an international body. Every year we organize our students, UTech students, UWI students, and Caribbean Maritime University to go to US and compete. We have up to 6 competitions, which include the hardware, robotics competition, the software competition, engineering ethics, programming, and technical papers, and T-shirt competition. This is how we do to ensure that technology gets to everywhere. Like today, we are talking about the digital switchover. We can see the current version of IPv4, Internet Protocol version 4, is now migrating to version 6 because as people are increasing, population are increasing, addresses are increasing, and IPv4 can no longer contain the addresses in the world. Now we are talking of IPv6. So I will encourage each and every one of us to calm down and watch and see what we can take home from today's topic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yadega. One of our bright and aspiring active students will now come and introduce our main speaker, Mr. Cordell Green. This is Mr. Ricardo Hunter.
Distinguished guests, students, what time is it? Good afternoon. Now, Mr. Cordell Green is an attorney at law, a former assistant attorney general of Jamaica, and a former broadcaster. He is the executive director of the Broadcasting Commission, which regulates radio, television, and cable in Jamaica. Now, he's a commissioner on the Jamaica National Commission for UNESCO, member of the UNESCO Intergovernmental Council for the Information for All program, member of the Law Committee for the IEEE, Global Initiative for Ethical Consideration in Artificial Intelligence and Autonomous Systems, fellow Telecommunications Executive Management Institute of Canada, and an honorary member of the Multicultural Media, Telecom and Internet Council in Washington, D.C. He has a rounded lifestyle, which over many years has included active participation in cultural and entertainment events in Jamaica. He remains involved in the musical side of entertainment, mainly by performing the role of MC at selected reggae concerts such as Rebel Salute. An interesting fact is that whilst a student at university performing the role of MC, he gave the moniker Doctor to dancehall superstar Beenie Man, who has since come to be known as the Doctor or the Dr. Beanie Man, as we all know him. Mr. Green holds a Bachelor of Arts with honors and a Bachelor of Law with honors degree from the University of the West Indies, a Master of Law degree with distinction from the University of Sheffield in England, and a Master of Business Administration degree from the Mona School of Business. He is married to the Honorable Mrs. Justice Marcia Dunbar Green, Judge of the Supreme Court, and they have a daughter. Now please join me in welcoming Mr. Cordell Green.
Thank you very much. I want to just add a disclaimer. I notice it's a very purple room. I represent this entity, but I notice there's a purple bottle here. It's blue? Oh, thank God. I'm a typical male. Okay, so somebody clarify that for me. Anyway, I want to congratulate Ready TV, which is, in a sense, the latest kid on the block as we seek to advance Jamaica in a new digital environment. And as many of you know, this is an age of great disruption, and based on the anecdotal evidence, this is an entity that has come to be disruptive in a positive way. So that is good. We welcome Ready TV as we seek to have a diverse digital environment for the benefit of Jamaicans. I was asked to cover some specific areas. Let me just add the disclaimer that I have no technical expertise whatsoever, so this is not a technical presentation. I leave that to your lecturer and others in the room. In fact, to those of you who are students, you are the technically advanced people. So I hope you'll find what I have to say helpful. From a layman's point of view, the digital switchover, the imperative here, the rationale, the driver, is that there really is a transformation that is global, mandated in some parts of the world, but clearly imperative for others, because we live in a digital economy and society. So as a matter of deduction, analog transmission has no place in a digital economy and society, albeit for some places, Europe and Africa in particular, they have made their transition by an international telecommunications union mandate. In terms of Jamaica, apart from what is happening globally, we have done some local studies. One of them was carried out by, I can't quite remember his name now, but he's from right here, Dr. Paul Golding, who heads up, I think, the management department here, who did a study for the Broadcasting Commission. In a sense, reinforcing some of what has been the global experience. A strong correlation between digital broadcasting and economic development. But from the point of view of regular folk like me, it should improve my access to content, expand my choices. I should have a more fulfilling experience. It should place the traditional screen, the TV screen, properly and comfortably in the mix of what the new generation is very much accustomed to, which is content that travels across platforms, screens, and devices. And also expanding our broadband footprint. In the cost-benefit analysis that Dr. Paul Golding carried out with his team standard, the net present value would be in the region of $2.22 billion. A marginal difference. I want to point out, though, that at the time this study was conducted, ATSC, the next generation, which I believe the study was predicated on a standard ATSC 2.0, which people were thinking about, which would be just a step up from the current standard ATSC 1.0. This study, I believe, was predicated on ATSC 2.0, not the latest version of ATSC 3.0. I say that only to say that the study and its findings on the positive net present value insofar as ATSC is concerned would need some revision. In any event, the cost-benefit analysis and the figures I gave you, the cost-benefit analysis was based on a rebuttable presumption that broadcasters would be outsourcing the transmission network to a multiplex operator. So we have some work to do on how we see the benefits depending on the model we choose. The cost-benefit analysis also concluded, drawing on international experience and an established relationship between broadband penetration and GDP. It was concluded that in the case of Jamaica, a digital television platform would increase broadband penetration by about 5%, and it was considered a conservative guesstimate. And the team concluded that this would increase GDP by about $5.6 billion. On a balance, the cost-benefit analysis said this would be good for Jamaica, apart from what it would mean for individual consumers of content, and also Jamaica's global ranking in a digital economy and society and the digital universe. But to be a little bit more granular, the arguments are that we are to experience improvements in quality, speed, efficiency, and we are to see a falling in the cost of broadcasting operations. Consumers should be seeing more channels. There should be more innovative services, such as interactive television, electronic program guides, and mobile. Just yesterday, we had a technical meeting with a global group of engineers, and we were being exposed to some of the latest innovations around interactive remote controls that they are working on and are at a very advanced stage that can get verbal instructions, which would be arguably a value proposition for digital TV broadcasters and also cable operators as a kind of response to others who have entered into this space, the Amazons of the world who are creating other interactive devices for the home. So if what I hear is true, one of the breakthroughs for cable and traditional broadcasters to match echo and whatever the latest inventions are would be a very interactive remote control that responds to audio, to verbal instructions. which would be made possible only by a digital transition. We should also experience improved picture and sound quality, although some people argue that in terms of sound, FM is a fairly good quality. So on the part of the radio side of digital conversion, there's not such an imperative, which is why you don't hear us talking so much about radio broadcasters transitioning under some kind of mandate to digital. But in terms of audiovisual, the audiovisual experience, we should be seeing improved picture, greater sound quality, and we should be able to experience not just high definition television, which some of us are already experiencing through the cable platform, but ultra high definition, immersive audio, and whatever would be the improvements on those. For the broadcasters, digital television switchover is set to present a few value propositions. The first is that in an environment where advertising is shrinking and broadcasting is really predicated on free-to-air broadcasting, an investment in content provided at no cost to the consumer but paid for by advertisers who follow eyes. That model is fast becoming obsolete, and so digital broadcasting allows for pay TV services as part of the mix of what a traditional broadcaster would offer. And IP-based services and enhancements, more targeted advertising, more reliance on software and apps, the ability for content to flow across screens, not just the stationary television screen, but any smart screen in the home, the ability to aggregate content in significant quantities and to use the cloud for storage. And then on the energy side, the evidence and the argument is that we should be utilizing less energy to get the same coverage. Government has an interest in this for two main reasons. One is spectrum efficiency. There should be approximately 6 digital television channels that could be utilize the same spectrum that is now available for one analog television channel, so there should be efficiency there. And then in some countries, the very keen interest on the part of government, and sometimes it explains also the incentives provided by government, is the opportunity to auction spectrum that is released. So if you need more analog, more spectrum for analog broadcasting, and through compression, you can get 6 channels where you had 1 channel. The argument is that you then free up a lot of additional spectrum, which can then support the consolidated fund through an auction system. That, I would say, does not apply to Jamaica. We don't have the same concerns as the United States of America, needing to move broadcasters out of high demand frequencies. So it's likely that what we will have in Jamaica is what I think they call a spectrum capital rather than a spectrum dividend. More spectrum available, but not spectrum that is going to be generating funds through any auction system, or not immediately. Now the challenges, because there are challenges. All of this sounds attractive, but it is a very costly and technical undertaking. Digital television will require significant capital expenditure on the part of broadcasters if they are establishing new transmission facilities. I add that caveat. There are different models. One is that the broadcasters can continue to operate independently and continue to manage and own transmission system that they fund and they maintain. The other is that you can have a multiplex where somebody concentrates on the delivery mechanism on the broadcasters and content creators do what some people argue they do best, which is to invest in the creation of content. That is something that is still under review in Jamaica. But when we looked at the figures, and I will highlight just two of the main expenditure areas which require attention. I'm not now talking about the consumer who might have to make some investments, not necessarily, but might have to make some investments in a set-top box or a modern digital TV, or if you have a service such as Ready TV, well then you're good, hopefully. But two of the big ticket items I want to mention, public education, it would be a key expense item, because this is not just about the technical people, it's even more so the consumers who need to understand what is going on, and information in all the countries with digital, who have gone through digital switchover. It's very clear. If you don't manage the communication very well, what you have is chaos or near chaos. And incidentally, the United States of America is the best case, having postponed their switchover on 3 occasions and having informed their citizens, but having nearly 60% of Americans paying attention just about the last 2 weeks when they were told their television sets would be going black. So by our estimation, again, the UTEC study, Dr. Golding, you're looking at approximately $314 million to mount an effective communication program from the beginning of digital switchover to analog switch off. And for the broadcasters, the estimate is that they would be spending $1.6 billion. And again, I want to qualify this to say, the study, the analysis, was predicated on a rebuttable presumption, which is that they would not be funding an expensive digital transmission network. All of this, of course, being made more challenging, particularly for the broadcasters, as the advertising market shrinks and people move to online services and new ways of reaching consumers. So against that background, you pretty much can have an idea why it is that, as occurred in the United States of America, it is not the easiest thing to agree on a timeline. And for a while we have been talking about beginning digital switchover in 2018. Now this is a policy matter, not a regulatory matter, policy matter. There's a national steering committee chaired by the Minister of Information, made up of consumer representatives, regulators, broadcasters, cable operators, retailers. But there needs to be a legal framework. And it has to be a decision of the cabinet or the parliament when it is we are going to mandate for free-to-air television stations as we know them. I know there is some dispute going on in the country in some quarters as to whether digital switchover is already on the way. I'm talking about mandated digital switchover, where the government says it must occur by this date. It applies to free-to-air broadcasters holding free-to-air broadcasting licenses, whatever the modality for the ownership of the transmission network. So 2018 has been in the air for a while. We seem, I believe, fixed on the date for analog switch off, which people generally believe should be 2021. I myself can't see how good sense and commercial viability could have anybody go beyond 2021, because that has implications for for depreciating existing fast, obsolete analog transmission facilities. It's the date to begin the switchover, which is still up in the air because we have no mandate from the cabinet. But as I speak, this year, which in terms of the government year ends March of 2019, it's 2018-2019, which is on the table for the switchover to begin. The other challenge has to do with the selection of the transmission standard. There are two main standards competing in this part of the world and in Jamaica. The DVB T2 standard, which supports standard definition, high definition, ultra high definition, mobile television, or a combination, and that standard is pretty much already in use in Jamaica by cable operators, and if I'm not mistaken, I think that's the standard being used by Ready TV, which has been given a license for wireless subscription television services. The other standard is the ATSC 3.0 standard, which is based on a hybrid delivery system, content that is delivered either the traditional way over the air or broadband and broadband using the internet, and also comes with some other bells and whistles such as immersive audio. One of the latest bits of information we have heard about ATSC 3.0 has to do with its compatibility with 5G services. 5G is one way of providing the broadband connection with which ATSC 3.0 needs, and this is considered something that will be of some importance because ATSC 3.0 is really IP technology at its core. I belong to the school of thought, probably the minority in this room, unequivocally of the view that this debate is of no moment, that this fight and argument over technology is essentially a farce, and that the decision about a technical standard is more a socio-cultural, economic, political decision than a technical one. But I add the caveat, I'm no engineer. Then here's the other matter, which I think of all the arguments he has raised, Christopher focuses a lot of attention on this, really, which is that the question of what will the consumer need to do is something we shouldn't leave on the fringes, and that we ought to look at the reality of the disposable incomes we have in Jamaica. We need to look at the poverty map we have in Jamaica and ask some real questions about what are the bearable costs that would be realistic for Jamaica. So if our decisions result in the need for people to be getting set-top boxes, then there are questions about the cost implications, although generally speaking, it is projected that the cost of set-top boxes will fall like everything else. But there is a real concern about particularly vulnerable persons, the poor in Jamaica, and we need to give a liberal interpretation of the poor. I gather that I belong to the middle class, but I'm beginning to question that myself. I really think that we have a dynamic poor class. Some of us who wear suits and some of us who don't. And the ones who wear suits are probably the poorer ones, okay? Truth be told. So others have been able to provide their people with coupons. And every time you talk about digital switchover, that comes up in the discussion. I join with those who say sometimes that's a bit fanciful. The Americans provided coupons because they very well knew that what they were embarked on was a very commercially viable exercise. They did the math, providing all their citizens with $50 coupons, and then projecting what would be the revenue flow to the consolidated fund when they were through auctioning the spectrum made a lot of sense. It was no loss whatsoever. In fact, the quicker people took up those coupons and allowed for the conversion, the better it was for the American economy. Our scenario is very different, so this is something we have to look at quite carefully. And as I said earlier, one of the other challenges is to ensure that we manage public education, and it is not education on the cheap. I've had to say that to people. When you talk about public education, they think it means that you run to some broadcaster and you tell them when you have some free time, you come and record something that says, the following is a public service announcement. And I say, when you do that, you basically telescope to the viewer, this is a convenient time to use the bathroom. So you have to, when you think about public education, you are competing with other content. Burger King, Pepsi, MCB, you name them. And if the value proposition and the value of what it is you're communicating is not of the same standard, it is a waste of time. So I underscore this to say this is a serious cost item and a serious part of the planning process. So let me wrap up then by just giving you an idea of how we have been going about this. We began in 2003 with the then American Television Standards Committee Forum, which is now defunct. We organized a meeting in Jamaica with academia, broadcasters, and the public. We then had a workshop in 2008, brought in one of the persons who was at the forefront of the BBC's conversion to digital. We developed the Jamaica Digital Switchover Policy Paper, which provided the first blueprint of sorts for how we would undertake digital. Coming out of that paper, we recognized that there is a need for this to be run not in an ad hoc manner, but that we had to set up a steering committee, and because political leadership was important, we devised it so that the minister would be center of this process, supported by the broadcasters and industry. So that committee was established in 2009. Then we organized another region-wide forum in 2010 to see whether we could coordinate, harmonize, and align with our neighbors. Although Jamaica, in terms of just the Caribbean neighborhood, as you know, is much closer to Cuba and Puerto Rico than all the way down in Barbados. But certainly our challenges would be similar, so we felt it important to do it. Then we took the next step in 27 to do some serious research, because we just didn't want to read what other people had to say about this, but to ensure we would be evidence-based. We undertook two significant works. Interestingly, both coming out of UTEC. The first two MPhil students looked at the feasibility, the consumer perspective, and that came back positive. Consumers saw just everything positive about digital switchover. The other was a team led by Professor Golding, and I see here Ernie Gordon. Ernie, I got your surname correct?
No. Smith.
Smith. My apologies. And your reputation precedes you, so I ought not to have made that mistake. The former managing director of the Spectrum Management Authority, who was part of that working group. And I did share some information earlier that they came back saying this is a very good value proposition for Jamaica. And then in 2014, we concluded the Digital Switchover Committee report. That report said, having considered all the options, ATSC would be the standard in Jamaica, based more on socio-cultural considerations. In fact, the committee, the team on which Ernie sat, recommended the DVB-T2 standard. And that committee report also detailed for us what would have been the Jamaican timeline. And then in 2015, collaborating with the International Telecommunications, we then developed a more comprehensive roadmap for Jamaica. And in November of last year, we collaborated with the Commonwealth Telecommunications Organization to host a Caribbean forum to take a stock of where we are, but also we had others in, the FCC from the US, people from Togo, Africa, to measure up what we're doing in Jamaica, where we are, and I think at the end of the day, the picture is indicating that we are behind in terms of the conversion, but are offering, at the very least, intellectual leadership on the subject matter. The roadmap emerged out of a workshop that we held in March of 2015 to identify short-term and long-term goals and the main activities we need to undertake. We basically have identified 5 phases. The policy development phase, and we have done fairly well at the policy development phase. The analog switch-off planning has been ongoing. It really needs now to get focused attention. Licensing policy and regulation, we have pretty much outlined a lot of what it is we need to be doing intellectually, but we need to operationalize this. The 4th phase would be the planning and implementation of the network design and architecture. And interestingly, what some say that the last phase is really about the technology standards, that we really shouldn't be taking up too much of our time around that. There are other more important things to do, and we will get around to the technology standard, and that will be probably the easiest fix of all that we have to do. So the critical decisions then, we have to decide on the standards. Transmission standard, to a lesser extent the compression standard, and we have to be taking a final decision, which I think we're just about there now, on what really is our view on ATSC 3.0. And I add the caveat, my view is that it doesn't have to be upfront. This is something that can be decided later in the process. We also have to take some important decisions about the licensing framework. We have two models, one of them predicated on a multiplex operator who would be independent of broadcasters. Another model is for the broadcasters to operate their own multiplex. We have to take a decision on that. And then we have to look at the service proposition. What are the areas in Jamaica covered adequately by subscription television services, and which are the areas not adequately covered, and where do you prioritize? Also urban vis-a-vis rural areas. We have to settle on the business model, the costs. I did speak earlier about some of the rebuttable presumptions on which the cost-benefit analysis was done. And we have to go back and see what the implications are now that we would be updating the information and taking some decisions, particularly around multiplexing. And then we have to look at how the limited, scarce, public, pressured, constrained public sector can play a role in this process, along with private capital. And the frequency plan we need to do, and we have to then decide how we are going to do the analog switch off in an orderly way, and how we're going to communicate that information to the public. That's what I came to share. I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cornell Green. Very informative. You'll give me a minute to do a little housekeeping. And while we're doing, one second please. While we're doing our housekeeping, we'll do a giveaway because I'm sure you're all feeling wrapped and close attention. And get onto the UTech network as well, the Wi-Fi. What are the two main standards for digital broadcasting that are being considered, and what the two letters stand for?
Good thing we don't have to end up.
Hands up. Don't all try to do at once. Well, we do have some wonderful bottles from our dear partners, the Broadcasting Commission. And cap, bag. Guys, I said the internet, why are you so shy? What are the two standards and what do the letters stand for? Okay, I'll take that as two questions. First person, give me the standards just in the form of the letters. Okay, hold on. Let me come with your prize, or I see a hand up. Okay. And the two standards are DVB T2 and ATSC. Correct. DVB ATSC. Who can tell me what DVB stands for? For a TV cap, who can tell me what DVB stands for? So I'll be the I see a young lady in the back. You can give me ATSC. Okay. Yes, ma'am. DVB.
DVB means digital video broadcasting.
You notice people like to end with an intonation. It's digital video broadcasting, DVB standard. Sir?
Advanced Television Systems Committee.
And ATSC is Advanced Television Systems Committee. You are so welcome. Thank you all. I'd now like to take this opportunity to ask all the aspiring
incoming speaker. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, a pleasant afternoon to you all. A well-known Caribbean personality, Chris Darren's reputation as a dynamic and innovative entrepreneur is exemplified by his latest venture, Ready TV, Jamaica's first prepaid subscriber digital TV service. Previously, Chris was chairman of Cable and Wireless Jamaica and a member of the global leadership team of Cable and Wireless Communications PLC, with responsibilities spanning 32 countries and over $2.5 billion in revenue. Chris led the Caribbean's successful staging of the ICC Cricket World Cup in 2007, the third largest global sporting event, coordinating an unprecedented 9 countries and 9,000 people to deliver the on-time construction of 10 cricket stadiums, a spectacular opening ceremony, and 54 ODI matches broadcast to a global audience of 2 billion people. A regional pioneer in the business of sport, he has negotiated numerous multi-million-dollar sports rights deals across the world, and in 2001, conceptualized and launched SportsMax, the Caribbean's first sports television channel, now broadcasting in 26 countries. SportsMax was sold to Digital in 2014. No stranger to banking, after an early career at Citibank Jamaica, Chris launched financial startup Corporate Merchant Bank in 1988 and then Daring Bunting and Golding, DBNG, in 1991. DBNG was listed on the Jamaica and the Trinidad and Tobago stock exchanges, with the groundbreaking startup firm growing from its initial capital of US $2.5 million to the US $100 million value, for which it was sold to Scotiabank in 2006. Chris played both football and cricket for Jamaica at the under-19 level, with outstanding club careers for Real Mona and Kingston Cricket Club. Awarded a football scholarship to West Virginia Wesleyan College in 1981, he graduated cum laude with a Bachelor of Science in Marketing and Economics and received the Wall Street Journal Award for Economics. He is married to Katia, a native of Brazil, and together they have 3 children. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Chris.
Good afternoon, everybody. Well, following such an august presentation from our venerable, my regulator, my boss of the industry, Cornell Green, who I have to say that for the private sector who invests in enterprise, you don't have a strong regulator, supportive regulator behind you. Any kind of regulatory practice. I really want to congratulate Cornell for his years of service and his continuing support for all of us in the country. Right, digital switch over, making it happen. Sure. So, why is it that we're so excited about digital switchover? Why is it so important? Cornell gave a very good presentation on all the reasons from an economic perspective. I'm going to go over a few of them. I have to tell you, it's going to sound almost a carbon copy. And we didn't practice together this presentation, I can assure you. But some of the points Cornell has made, we're finding it even more exacerbated as you actually roll out a digital broadcast network, which is what we're doing. But why is it so important? And that's because in the digital world, content is king. And every time I mention the word content, to anybody, the first thing people think of is the entertainment side of content, which is a very important side. They think of sports, they think of movies, they think of content you like to receive, all of us as consumers. And those are very important parts of our lives. However, content is anything that is informative or educational or entertaining. So that informational and educational portion of it is massive. And I always tell my crew at Ready TV that in my view, the most watched television program in the history of this country, for those of you who can remember, is if somebody had been able to focus a TV camera on the gates of Tivoli the weeks leading up to the incursion. Do you all remember how tense this country was? We all knew it was about to happen, we just didn't know when. Imagine if there was a television channel that you could watch, and of course none of us were on the road, because the streets were deserted because we knew this thing was about to happen. Imagine if you could sit in the comfort of your home, turn on a television channel and just watch and wait. It would have been a huge television experience. It would have been the most watched television program in the history of the country. And if you think about it, that's content. Something as simple as a camera on a gate, on a street. We watch it all now on YouTube. Things that you would not believe 10 years ago would you have thought was content. And in fact, YouTube has pretty much changed how we all perceive content. Production quality. It doesn't really matter how fuzzy it is. There's something we want to see. We will watch it. Of course, we want to see it clearly, but if we can't, we'll still watch it. So content in the digital world is king. And so anything that informs, educates, entertains is content. Well, guess what? Free-to-air broadcast television is still the most ubiquitous, cost-efficient way to spread that content, whether it's information, whether it's educational, whether it is entertaining. Today's event is being broadcast live on Ready TV for people as far as Knockpatrick in Manchester, Rocky Point in Clarendon, Port Murray and St. Mary are able to participate in this function. They heard what the Broadcasting Commission Executive Director had to say. They're hearing what I have to say. They're going to hear your questions. They're going to say, what are your pick your notes? Please go. We're live. And let me just explain to you why it is so important for Jamaica. You might not be able to make up the statistics, so I'll tell you. Jamaica's 880,000 households. Of that, 800,000 have at least one television set. 800,000 have at least one television set. And we kind of, that's a figure coming from Statin. But we kind of validated the other day when I saw JPS complaining that they only bill for 600,000 households, but they think about 200,000 households are stealing electricity. 800,000 have a TV set, so there are 200,000 people that have a TV set, which wouldn't have a TV set if they didn't have electricity. Of the 800,000 people with a TV set, only about 190,000 have cable TV. How many in this room have cable TV? Put up your hand. Almost everybody. You realize you're one of the privileged few. You're one of the privileged few in Jamaica that have access to cable TV. The multi-channel content world of cable. That's a privilege. Even less are broadband, because if you look at what FCC have defined as broadband, 25 megabits per second. Fixed internet is 34% penetration in Jamaica. But of that, only less than 10% are true broadband. Broadband is what is needed to really truly consume, use broadband to consume television, similar to how you consume it on a television screen. So you're talking about 610,000 people, 1,000 households, sorry, 1,000 households that have been left behind in the digital world. left behind in the digital divide. 78% of our population have been left behind in the digital world. That's a burning house. That is something that's very serious, and you almost can correlate that to the wars that we experience. The violence, the lack of education, the ignorance. Because there's a whole swath of our country that have no access to digital content. They're receiving 2 free-to-air, some of them 1, some of them 2, analog channels. So there's limitations in the information that they're receiving. That's how critical information is in the digital world. Information is power. Information, there's no entrepreneurial idea I have ever had in my life that I did not see first on TV, and that I did not enhance by the ideas I saw on television. Because we don't consume data the same way we consume TV. Anybody, I'll give you one of these red TV boxes right now, anybody in this room can tell me the most popular cable channel in the entire Caribbean, more hours are spent on this channel than any other channel in the entire Caribbean. Cable. Anybody? I know that is the safest red TV box there is. Nick Jr. Because TV is the world's best babysitter. You literally turn on the television and you leave your picnic and you can go cook. And you know the TV, the child is occupied. They're crying. You can turn on the TV and the cartoons and the child is occupied. Think about if you were actually burning data doing that. Because I know when I reach home, my wife will tell you, I just turn on the TV and the TV is like a companion. And you're absorbing all this information all evening, all day, without actually consciously knowing that you're not burning data. That's what the value of free-to-air television is. It's just on. And if you have multi-channel access to free-to-air, then you'll see the vast variety of content that you'll be able to absorb. So why is it we have this massive divide? Well, it's affordability and access. So affordability, more than 60% of people in Jamaica earn their living in one of these 3 ways. If you take out remittances, which is our capacity to be able to beg our parents and our siblings and our cousins to send us money, this is how we earn money. Task work, clean up the yard and pay some money. Daily enterprise, a street vendor who is selling oranges and so on, or a farmer who reaps and then goes to the market and sells. Or weekly or bi-weekly wage. Over 60% of our economy, that's how they earn their living. So they will never be able to afford a monthly recurring bill that's going to come whether or not you use it or not. Which is why cable TV and broadband have been stymied this road. There's just simply not enough of the population can afford that cost of rollout, rolling out fiber and so on, and then being able to collect a monthly recurring fee from people. And what does that monthly recurring fee look like? We're talking about, on average, about $55 US for cable TV, and $23 US for internet, with an average speed of 9 megabits per second. Not even for the 25 that you need to have broadband. And if you think about it, and you compare it to our per capita income of $5,000 US per annum, you realize the vast majority of Jamaica don't earn enough to be able to pay for it. We're talking about somebody's entire annual salary going to cable. So these are the stark realities of our country. And Cordial mentioned my fixation on what we're able to afford. It's because I just think it is such a fundamental thing. I just never believe, I'm a practical person. I don't believe that you aim, I do believe you aim for Mars and hopefully, if you aim for Pluto and hopefully if you fall short, at least you land on Mars. But if you really don't even have fuel to get to the moon, let's think again. Now, in terms of access, there are two types of lack of access. First, there's about 450,000 households with no economic access. Those are the people we're talking about. They can't afford fiber to be run there, and therefore the fiber companies and the cable companies are not going to run cable there anyway. So who is going to run fiber into Arnett Garden, Almond Town, and Cable Day, and these places? Right, so there's the economic lack of access. But then there's a physical lack of access. Primarily also caused by economics. There are about 240,000 households with no physical access to cable or broadband. It's because, again, distances between the, now, first of all, a mountainous terrain causes challenges. Then we have in the country a lot of rural houses that are spread far apart, so it makes rolling out fiber and cable challenging. So you're talking about only 190,000 households in Jamaica benefiting from a multi-channel digital world. Right? And I know a lot of people then will throw at me, well, what about mobile broadband? And everybody has a phone. That's true. Everybody. There's one point where we're 105% subscribed with phones in Jamaica. Everybody has a phone. The two things. Not everybody that you see with a smartphone has a data plan. I saw a lot of students nodding their head because they were walking around with a fancy phone and no data. They're talking about on average $6 US per gigabyte per month. A gigabyte. Everybody know how much a gigabyte is in terms of what you can watch? Maybe an hour of video per day. So imagine if you had to watch a movie every day. You're going to pass the price of cable. So it is not a suitable, it's not yet a suitable method to get long hours of content. Kind of hours that you need to watch educational classes, watch movies, watch a whole football match every single day. You know, you can do it maybe once a month. So look at the Jamaican market. If you plot it on a graph, on the quality access, you have digital, you can either be digital or analog. In the digital world, you have Flow and Digicel, who rolled out hybrid fiber coax and fiber. And they're both wired services. And then you also have 48 community cable companies who rolled out mainly coax cable. But you'll see they're all on the regional side. They're not national in terms of coverage. And on the coverage side, you have national broadcasters like CDM and TPJ, but they are single channel on the content access. Each of them broadcasts one single channel, but they're also in the analog side of the world. They're low price because they're free to air, they're free. But again, there's a huge gap. And what has basically happened is that wireless services have been stymied. It's rolled out. I have both Digicel and Flow have rolled fiber on my avenue. So they pester me every Sunday morning and trying to sign me up. Maybe one of them should have rolled out on my road and one rolled out in Arnett. Now, who would have made the choice? So they've invested over 500 million in Jamaica. And they cover roughly 35%, past 35% of households with wireless services. Past, not connected. Because you still also then have to run a fiber from the road into the house, then run a fiber around the house, and so on. So it's very expensive fiber. And it's very important. So those of us that have fiber, we're fortunate. But on the wireless side, again, you only have two analog free-tier channels. It's about, on average, 85% coverage. Broadcast commission may have a different figure, but I've tried to do a weighted average just come up with an 85%. And in some areas, you know, you don't get CDM, or you don't get CDM. You get one or the other. And in some areas, you get both. Covered area, Kingston, St. Andrews, yes, you get both. So who is going to fill this digital void, this quadrant? Low price, digital, wireless, national, multi-channel. Any guesses? Because that's the digital switchover. That's essentially the quadrant the digital switchover fills. It's a huge gap because it also deals with the vast majority of the country. The digital switchover has been deferred perennially since 2010, I believe. I actually heard the minister, I read in the newspaper, the minister last year talking about postponing it to 2021. So maybe now that Cornell has updated us on the dates, I now have a better understanding. What he means maybe is the analog switch off in 2021. But this is something that is long overdue. It is a burning house. It is critical because the vast majority of our population have been left behind in the digital divide. And you can correlate it with so many of the problems we're having today. So what is it? What is digital broadcasting? Well, Cornell has explained it, but it's basically sending out a digital signal versus an analog signal. And of course, in terms of quality, you get, instead of we call it in Jamaica rice grain. And I know it's not a knock on the analog broadcaster. They do their best, but it is an analog signal. So in many, many areas, you know what you get when you put them on an antenna. It's challenging, and I don't know how. Football is bad enough with the ghosting. Sometimes you see 3 guys running on the wing and really one. And stuff with cricket, I have no idea how some people in the country, and you know the country folk love their cricket, how they used to watch test match cricket, that little red ball with that fuzziness. Really incredible how they used to watch it. But you get a clean crystal signal simply because it is digital. It is data being transported across the air in ones and zeros instead of a video signal that is being transported. And of course, most importantly, you get multi-channel broadcasting. So, just in simple terms, Television Jamaica, TVJ, uses channel 7 to broadcast TVJ, one channel. Well, a digital broadcaster will take that one channel, digitize it, and broadcast 15 high-def channels. That's MPEG-4 standard. Which once you go to HEVC, you're talking 25, 30 high-def channels. High-def. So you're moving from one analog in the same space to, we're doing 15 high-def channels in the same space. That's the difference with digital. But if you think about what that means, it's not just entertainment. It's being able to broadcast classes across the country. Very inexpensive where you're not burning data. It's broadcast. It's a linear broadcast. So it doesn't matter whether one person have on a TV set or a billion people have on a TV set. It has unlimited capacity. And therefore it can be very inexpensive. So the good news, the game has changed. Because 60 years after FTA TV started in Jamaica, with 2 analog TV channels that we currently have, Jamaica's first and only digital broadcaster is up and running with over 127 high-def channels, including 11, we call them free-to-air channels because they're free and they're over the air. A couple of them are licensed, 3 of them are licensed free-to-air channels, but what we're trying to do is to lead the way. We are making the investment. The executive director told you how expensive it is. That is one of the reasons why it has not happened. Well, the private sector has taken the bull by the horns. We're investing, we're building on the digital broadcast network, Ready TV. And essentially how it's done, we have a fully IP headend over in Portmore where we bring in all the signals, we digitize it, we encrypt it, we encode it. We are the multiplexer for the service, for all these services that come in. We send that packet of data up to our broadcast tower up in Cooper's Hill. That radiates a signal, and you see that diagram will tell you the kind of radiation pattern of Tower 1 up in Cooper's Hill. Already, with one tower, we're the largest ATV operator in the country by houses passed. One tower. That's the beauty of digital broadcast. Just to give you an example, CBM will probably have a 10,000 watt transmitter broadcasting from Cooper's Hill. Maybe about half of that radius, or transmitter up there is 1,000 watts. 1/10 the power needed to broadcast 127 channels versus one channel from an analog broadcast. That's the difference the digital world has made. And of course, once you're in the signal, everybody in that signal coverage area has access to free-to-air digital and pay TV digital. A signal is in your room. A signal is in this campus. A signal is in your home. You just don't know it yet. And therefore, all you need then is something to access it. An antenna and some kind of receiver, whether it be a dongle, an actual television set with the receiver built in, and you just use your antenna, hook it up to a box, and you're in the digital world. Easy as that. And it's so easy that we came up with a tagline about how to make it easy, because as Claudia mentioned, the hardest part, more than the money that's needed to be found, the hardest part is educating people what to do. They have lost their ability to put up a TV antenna. In fact, they think it is so old school, but it has come back again. If you go through Europe, you look at all the houses in Europe, you see antennas on their roof again. You look in London. We were in London last year. I took pictures because every rooftop in London had an antenna. Because the world has gone back to that. Now that digital broadcasting is around, it is so inexpensive. Everybody just puts up their antenna on the roof and now brings down 60, 70 high-def channels in London. In Coral Gables, where I used to have a house, put up an antenna outside and you're getting 40 high-def channels. That is where the world has gone back to because of digital technology and digital broadcasting. So we came up with a tagline: pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Because we're both free to air and pay TV. The free to air is free. You get a box, you hook it up to your TV, and you get 11 free channels. And when you are ready, you do have some money. If you have sold some jerk chicken during the day, and I feel like buying some pay TV channels, then I can buy it simply using my phone. Everybody have a phone. And you don't need data. The text messages that you send. So what we've done is try and create a business model that suits that 610,000 people who have no access to the digital world. And taking into consideration why they don't have access. Economics, their lifestyle. Prepaid mobile actually caused us away. So you have to give digital tremendous amount of credit. They showed us what prepaid could do for the masses of this world, which is why everybody has a phone. 90% of our market, $425 million US, is prepaid mobile. So it works. And then all you need is that set-top box, hook it to your TV, and you're ready. We distribute those boxes through the regular trade, pharmacies, supermarkets. Cable TV is no longer calling, sitting down and waiting on somebody to come and install. It's totally self-installed. It is all over Europe. You go to the pharmacy and buy a box, you take it home, you put it up to your TV, you put up your antenna, and you buy your channel packages. So it's now here in Jamaica, Ready TV. And you're going to then buy Ready Credit, just like you're buying DigiCredit and Flow Credit. And you spend it then when you want it. Only difference is all credit never goes away. It's your money. I have to tell you that story because I had a major debate internally in Ready TV when it came down to whether or not credit could expire. And I'm a former banker, from a buyer. I could not, even when I went to Gilroy, because I'm the former chairman here, could not ever wrap my head around the fact that somebody gave me their money to hold and they didn't use it, I could take it. Because in banking, you can't do that. You know, you link your money and you put it in a savings account. I can't then say, well, if you don't spend it on a car, we'll take it. No, yeah, I know there's debate on banking fees and all, but generally the principle of me taking your money without you spending it, I've never been able to reconcile. And so there was a battle internally at Ready. Because we do have some people come from the telecoms industry and so on. Eventually I won. Credit can't expire. It's your money. So if you don't want to spend it this week, there's nothing on TV that you want to watch. Fine. You can go and watch the 10, 11 premier channels. If there is something that comes up next month, your money is there. When you're ready to buy a channel, you buy it. That was a kind of a proud moment for me when I was driving down the street and took that picture. And I sent it to my friend Stephen Price over at the floor and said, yeah, the 3 big boys lined up. I noticed I was on the bottom, but you know, it's like. But the 3 unique selling points of this service and the business model, which is something I want everybody to really truly appreciate. There goes an antenna. Choice of technology and your choice of business model have to be developed together. They're not independent of each other because you're constantly going to be tinkering with a business model as to what will work. Whilst you're doing that business model, you then have to find the technology that suits the different changes in the business model. So you may start off with one business model, and then when you look for the technology, it's not quite there to suit that business model. So you then have to change the business model. And similarly, you can start off with technology, but that technology won't work to suit the economy that you're aiming at. And therefore, you have to change the technology to suit the business model that can work. And so they have to be developed hand in hand. And coming from the private sector and having to take money from people to invest in these things, I have to justify with business cases and business models and show how this is going to work. So we built this business model based on 3 unique selling points. 1, affordability. What is more affordable than free? So there's free channels. But it is not a gift. It is in fact a commercial decision to offer free channels to then promote the pay TV side. And we've broken down pay TV in 2 ways. By the day, 7 days and 30 days. So we have a prepaid. You can literally buy cable TV for a day if you want. And there are packages from 100 Jamaican dollars a day. 33 channels, 5 channels, and so on. But also then we break down the package sizes. Because sometimes people just simply don't have the money. So not only is it small in terms of it's made small by the number of the time increments you can buy channel packages, but we made it even smaller by the amount of channels in each package. So if any football fans in here, anybody follow Barclays Premier League? Anybody follow Arsenal? I'm only speaking to the 2 smart people. So the reality, you know, if you're a football fan, sometimes you're not interested in the Lifetime movies and the O and all the more lady preferred channels, you know, right? So you could buy Plus Sports by itself as a package. That's the only thing you want. Or if you want movies this weekend, you can buy the HBO movie pack by itself. You're not forced to buy 200 channels. Or forced to buy basic and then move on to the movies and then move on to the sports package. And by the time you're done, it's a $10,000 a month bill. This you buy when you want, when you are ready to buy each individual package. So that's how we've broken down business model. And again, it's not trying to be socially conscious, although I am conscious of the society I'm trying to cater for. 610,000 households for being left behind. So that's the affordability. Then there's convenience. The fact is you no longer have to call a cable operator to get service. You do it yourself. And also when you're there, you don't have to call to then add packages. You do it yourself on your mobile phone without using data. Simply SMS. Sitting in the comfort of your home. And third, high quality. All channels are in high def. And that makes a huge difference. And in fact, we're testing right now ultra high 4K on our set-top boxes. So imagine World Cup is coming up, and you only now have free-to-air. Imagine if you can get to watch World Cup in high def simply by having an inexpensive set-top box. So, this is the part that really resonated when Gordon was speaking, the education side of things, educating our population. This has been an eye-opener going into the streets, selling ready TV, selling a digital broadcast service, selling the digital switchover. Because people that we're talking about, 610,000 households who have never had cable, they do not have a clue about 90% of the things you're selling them. Anybody in here is interested in a motor car, buying a motor car? Right now, we're talking right now. You have the money and you're ready to buy it. How many times would I have to advertise a Ferrari on TV for you to go buy it? No. Really? And you go buy it? You have one to go buy it? No. You know in this situation, how many times would I have to advertise a Ferrari on TV for sale for $70 million before you would go down to the store and buy it? How many times? Would you even listen to that ad? It would just pass over you because it is just not for you. Well, that is what we are support. Because these people never consider themselves to be able to afford this and those kinds of services. You can't advertise over there. It's not going to mean anything to them. I've had arguments with a lady that, oh, do you know what? Do you want to hear about HBO? She doesn't want a movie. Never heard of HBO, don't care. HBO is a 40-year-old brand. And somebody in Jamaica has never heard of HBO. It's an indictment of the society. And it seems funny, it was funny at the time, but it really, if you think about it, if somebody has not heard of HBO, you know, so we have to find a different way of educating people on what a digital broadcast service was. So we came up with weapons of WLPs, weapons of mass display. Because it's free to air, it's in the air. So we could walk anywhere. There's a tomahawk that we walk around with. And to show people, walk up into the stands at football, or commandos on the road, walking up into the stands, going into football matches, going into schools, and just showing people this is a digital broadcast. Because that is, I totally endorse what you're saying, Mr. Executive Director, that is going to be the biggest challenge of the digital situation. Education. People just don't know what it is. They're going to be very upset because they're going to think it is one thing, it's probably going to be something totally different. And you're just going to get that resistance. So we have tomahawks and transformers and big screens and go into the communities, go into Army, go into Timber, Town, Rocky Point, show them what it is. And when they see, they go, whoa, what my TV not so pretty. And then of course there was a question raised about old TVs. It does not matter what kind of television you have. The digital switchover works for every television set. All TVs are simply a screen. All digital, no matter what form of digital switchover you take, you need a receiver. A receiver can be built into a TV. It can be built into a set-top box, it can be built into a dongle, it can be built into a phone, it can be built into anything. It's a receiver. So it doesn't matter what standard you choose, it doesn't matter what type of TV you have. The important thing is what type of receiver are you going to use. And that receiver comes in different forms. In the air, it's a receiver. Put the receiver on a TV, you're good. You have something called smart TVs. Because that's a computer in a TV. That's all that is. Right? I have to tell you, the more that 610,000 households that have smart TVs are really proud of their smart TV. And they think they have a good TV. They do. But they're getting 2 free-to-air channels and they have no internet. So they don't know what the smart part of it can do. It's been sent to them from by some relative. And they have a smart TV. So the education side is going to be. And this is the network we're building on. By June, we'll cover Jamaica. We'll have 66% national coverage with 3 main towers. So we're spreading out. I'm very happy to hear that. I can't tell you how many people in St. Elizabeth call us EA. You know, and one of the great things, one of the most satisfying things that has happened, two of the most satisfying things. The first thing is we had a fisherman from Rocky Point in Clarendon come to the office to buy a box. Of course, he was very skeptical. He has an old TV. He didn't know it would work and so on, and the girls in the office had to convince him, take it home, man, it will work. Don't worry. If anything, you know, bring it back, we'll always take it back, because there's always somebody else that will want it. He took it home, Rocky Point in Clarendon. Anybody know Rocky Point? What about Bush? And within an hour and a half, he was back at the office, about 60. It's no business. He's no a dealer. You're on the point. Because when the neighbors saw what he was getting, they all wanted one. Of course, he couldn't tell them where to get it. And he came back about 60. And then his cousin, 2 days later, came back about 200. Because that's all one. We don't have stores all over the place, so we're creating all these micro and small enterprises who are dealers in set-top boxes. And of course, you sell somebody a set-top box, what's the next thing you're going to sell them? Ready credit, and that's non-stop. So, and then, you know, there's one of the spin-offs that have happened, which, you know, wasn't planned. They actually take so much pressure off our call center because all those people in Rocky Point are calling us, they're calling him. When they need credit. What channel is so and so on and so on. So it's really a nice one, very satisfying one. Why we chose DVB-T2? Purely business. So one of the things we learned was that ecosystem, certain I learned that in telecom, the ecosystem is fundamental. Anybody remember mobile TV? When Live launched it? Oh, yeah. I mean, broadcast, put the Bojo Bantan concert live. But you know what happened to that? The ecosystem died. Mobile TV was hot globally at one point. And in fact, Nokia was behind the whole mobile TV global worldwide push. Nokia had 60% of the world's handset market. So Nokia flowed here, and actually my wife is here in the front, and she was head of procurement back then, and so she brought Nokia, took me down that path. So Nokia was said, listen, Chris, we're fully behind you on this. You know, we're using Jamaica as a, you know, big example to the world. And we're going to be supplying you with all these different phones and so on. And guess what? Now, they went bankrupt, and they canned the mobile TV project. Ecosystem died. So I learned that if you don't have a vibrant ecosystem that is constantly supplying new products and services because of all the markets that they're in, there's a risk. It's a huge risk. And so BBB, all the countries you see there in blue, most of the world, BBB-T2, which is the latest version of BBB. BBB-T1 was the first one. BBB-T2 is virtually identical to ATSC3. Same IP base, because we have a fully IP integrated headend, and so on. It's the same technology. But importantly for me, when I was doing this business case, you see the countries it serves? Africa, all of Eastern Europe, all countries with similar economies to Jamaica. Poor people, whole island, poor people. So the suppliers are vast, they're numerous, and they all know how to sell to the developing world. They cater their products to the developing world. So you don't just get a Broadcom chipset, which is the most expensive chipset in that set-top box or receiver. They search and scour the world and get the cheaper chipset because they know they have to come at price points to suit the African markets, the Eastern European markets. Russia might be rich as a country, but it's a pile of poor people there too. Right? Cost efficiencies that come from that ecosystem. Very important. Because they know, you know how thousands and thousands and thousands of suppliers for every little part for that ecosystem because of all the countries it serves. In both free-to-air and pay TV, which is also important. Because a free-to-air service by itself is a totally different business model from a free-to-air and pay TV service. And all business models, we just did not see a viable way of only free-to-air. So we use free-to-air as a commercial link to the pay TV side. Pay TV is actually what's paid for that free-to-air. The third thing is proven performance. It's there. You see the propagation. You know exactly what it is. Everybody knows how to use it. Engineers are a dime a dozen in DVB-T2. They're all over the world. And then, of course, the business model. Once we decided to use a business model that married both pay TV and free-to-air, there was simply no choice. Because the pay TV market in the US, where ATSC3 is going to be rolled out, is dominated by satellite and fiber. Fiber and cable have 90 million households. There's no terrestrial broadcast that is pay TV. So nobody's building or integrating chipsets for the US market for terrestrial broadcast. Nobody. Not. We haven't found one yet, so good luck. And then, of course, experience. We built 2 digital broadcast networks. We don't even have a lot of experience dealing with the ATSC, dealing with the DVD suppliers, totally. Because one is known, one is unknown. Jamaica hasn't selected a broadcast standard yet, already spoke about that. We just strongly recommend whatever selection is made, do it based on the above criteria. Do a proper, thorough business case, a proper business model has to be undertaken, especially if it's going to entail taxpayer money. If it's private money, anybody can do anything they want. If it's taxpayers' money, please, let's make the right decision. I'll harken back to when Kenya Wireless actually was making the investment in mobile technology. They chose something called TDMA, which because the Americans are gone. Well, the world went GSM. First of the world went GSM. And this came in with GSM. What happened to Kenya Wireless Mobile? But the ecosystem wasn't there. But the type of phones and handsets that poor people needed and could afford. And so digital dominated the market just because the range of TDMA handsets, and my wife used to handle a lot of handsets for Kenya Wireless, so it's her fault. That's one of the things that hit Kenya Wireless hard. They could not get the same range of phones as Digicel when they came into the market in terms of cheaper phones, GSM phones. And then of course when 2G came in, all the GSM phones were easily adaptable and could start to use 2G and so on. Ecosystem. Don't just because America does it, doesn't mean it's the best way to go or the cheapest way. Do the analysis. I haven't seen the business case on multiple ATSC3. I hope one is, I'm sure one is done, but because it is a new standard, it hasn't been rolled out, I know there are lots of gaps. And as a business person, when I see a gap, there's an information deficiency, it's just a risk, it's a red flag. And it could work out, it could be the greatest thing ever, but these are red flags when I'm investing my money. I just hope the government uses that sort of mindset. If they decide to invest in anything, we've seen a lot of government, private sector type investments, how they've turned out. So let's just know that there's a tailwind. This is the chart. One day this will probably be taught in Jamaica University or whatever. This is my little formula about anything that I'm getting into. Because it has to have a tailwind or a headwind, whether there's a chance for success. And the same thing applies with the digital switchover. The three interests on any project like this have to be totally aligned. The private interests, private money, people who are professionals, who are experienced entrepreneurs, who can bring, the sort of cost efficiency and looking at the numbers and making sure the thing is tight. If the private interest is aligned on it, great. But that private interest has to be aligned with the public interest. Is this thing good for the country? Are the people going to enjoy it? And I can tell you, when you go around and install a box, and you see the kids jumping for joy, they've never seen a cartoon. Except every once in a while on a TV geography, on CBS. They've never seen SpongeBob, SquarePants, and all these things. They go ballistic. Is it in the public good? Will it create employment, enterprise growth, promote a knowledge-based economy? That's the public interest, aligned with the private. But it also has to be fully aligned with the political interests. And in this case, this is fully aligned with political interests. Now, you would think political and public should be the same arrow. Not always is. Not always is. Public interest on education project, fantastic for the public. Does it win votes? Not really. Because we tend to think, if you build a school, that's what you're supposed to do. It never wins votes. It impacts the masses. Does it impact rural constituencies? Because Kingston constituency is hard-coded, urban constituency is hard-coded. And it will vote PNP no matter what. Right? People are going to vote JFP no matter what. These are the realities that I'm very plain and straight up. You have to, because this is reality we live. So it has to impact rural constituencies because that's what swings. So if you can influence votes, then you have political interest going in your favor. And it's good if all three are lined up. So the private interest lined up with the public interest. And it's politically good too. So there's a lot of tailwind behind this project, which you think is it has to have quick delivery and receipt of benefits. You can promise a road, but how long the benefits from building that road going to take before people feel the positive impact? You put a box in a man's yard who has never had any form of cable TV or internet or anything, and all of a sudden he's getting 11 free channels, and he's getting all of this program that he can buy when he gets a little bit of money. Massive impact. And so there are 11 free channels now being broadcast, including the government's Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica. That goes nowhere. We've also included 2 foreign channels in there, just so to spur the market. Because what we're looking for are entrepreneurs. We're looking for people now to create. Jamaica, I've always said, living, breathing content. There's a reason why Usain Bolt is so globally popular. You think it's because he's fast? No, it's everything else, and he's fast. It's that spirit, that dancing, that we're content, we're living, breathing content. When Chris Gale lived in India, he's a character. He's not so bad, I used to sell cricket workup rights, cricket rights, broadcast rights in the West Indies. We could sell, and I sold, all broadcast rights from England to the West Indies, high-up rights, and Australia, England, and the Ashes, which was a big thing. Why? Because when cricket was being broadcast in the Caribbean, 5 o'clock in the evening, we have a swimming pool, we have partying going on the moon. People come home in England freezing and they turn on the TV, not to watch cricket, to watch cricket in the West Indies. It was a beautiful program that took them away from all the worries of London, the cold London, to see all these fantastic images. We're living, breathing content in the Caribbean. And so we want entrepreneurs to come up now with new channels, come up with ideas. Some of them we're coming up ourselves. So we have ready school. And this is the digital dividend we're talking about, because we now have all this capacity that people don't have to spend loads of money to get. We're ready school, a whole range of educational classes, broadcast live, like we're broadcasting live here today. There's nothing now to put a TV camera, a high-def camera in a classroom. And so you guys could be at home and just click on the TV, get the lessons, interact with the teacher, sending in your messages and your questions. Right? Think about the person in Rocky Point, Clarendon, who could now participate in a class. I don't see you take up there, so you guys need to get on it. Get on it. Don't get on the wagon before you're left behind. Lifestyle channel. We're coming up with a lifestyle. I had to block out the names because these are all joint ventures actually with big companies, very big companies who are doing this. A lifestyle channel focused on high school life in Jamaica. Think about all the plays, concerts that take place in high schools, much less in colleges. I didn't touch that yet. Daily, after that, plays and so on, and musicals and what have you. Every high school parties, high school fetes, high school dances, high school fun days. We have a high school sports channel called dedicated to high school sports. Think about all the, imagine a 15-year-old commentating on a under 15 football match, and he's a commentator. That's what happens in the US. Every little match, every on television, every little football match, every little cold cricket match. Sunlight Cup will be broadcast the first time live this year. Henley Cup will be broadcast live this year. All the sports that don't get attention. Of course, Money Cup and Champs are big properties and everybody pays for that and wants to see it. But what about all the other sports? What about all the female sports? No high school netball game has ever been televised. It's not sad. Now, with the digital switchover, now with broadcast free to air. And of course, some of you might know already our joint venture with Jamaica Football Federation. They have their own channel, JFF TV. They broadcast live the match from Turkey the other day against South Korea on JFF TV. All the other sports associations are jumping up. So now you see what the digital dividend is because of the digital switchover. I should just say that, make a formal announcement that we have offered to effect the digital switchover for Jamaica, bringing everyday Jamaicans into the digital world. We wrote to the Minister formally in June 2017, hoping you get to it soon. With the island-wide rollout of the network, DSO can take place long before 2021, saving significant tax dollars for the government of Jamaica. All existing and new FDA channels can be accommodated, licensed by the government, administered by the government. Every Jamaican needs to be a part of this digital world. This is our mission, to make every home a castle. I want to talk a little bit before I show you what, the quality of a digital broadcast versus analog, about the entertainment part. I don't take it frivolously at all. You cannot put a value on pride and dignity. You cannot. And I've learned that now more than any other time in my life. Going into some of these communities, sufferers high, like what you call it, sufferers high. Tivoli, Arnett, Allman Town. I've gone into some of these tenement yards because I like to see that it's a personal joy for me. That it gives me energy when I see their reaction to this thing when you put a digital box on their television and all of a sudden they're getting all these channels that they've never seen before. Kids that go crazy. There is no value that can be placed on that pride and dignity. Pride of some of the mothers and fathers I've seen when they know now that they can provide for their kids something as basic as digital free-to-air television and cartoons and painting. It's incredible, an incredible feeling. But also dignity. When somebody has worked hard, that vegetable vendor, the market, they worked hard all day, all week, and they come home for the weekend and they kind of switch on some channels. It's a basic right almost to have that dignity. Because it's the kind of entertainment that they can afford. Can't underestimate it. Make it every home and castle. That's our mission. Our mission. Affordable, free, and pay TV channels in every home. So, Kia, I want to show them what an analog broadcast looks like. So we have an antenna.
Your expression of love. Select the Why I Love You
That's
promotion.
DVA.
Share with your family and like your video.
Here in corporate area. Or is that TVJ or CBN? Okay. And you want to switch to same kind of antenna can be used, and you switch it through to a Red TV box. Your TVJ. That's Scoop, by the way. Scoop is our own free-to-air channel. That's TVJ. Now, what will happen is if TVJ has a standard def program being broadcast, no matter how you broadcast it in high def, it's not going to look high def. But when they have on a high def program and they're news, like CBN, we used to see their news in the evening in high def over the air. It is beautiful. Most when you compare it to. But you can see the clarity now. It's crystal clear versus the rice grain. That's the difference between digital and analog. That's one difference. But the bigger difference, I can tell you, is being able to provide multiple channels, freeing up the creative energy of this country, giving opportunity. And remember now, it's one thing to be able to give people airtime, but you now also have a platform to monetize it because there's something called ready credit. You can sell your content, pay-per-view, pay-per-day, pay-per-week. That's two things that have been missing. So, ready is an acronym. I bet you didn't know that. Stands for rebellious, we will be disruptive. Energetic, we believe in the power of now. Adaptive, we will innovate. And I don't mean innovate. Let me pause here. I don't mean innovate in the way most people think of innovation, coming up with something brand new and inventing. No, we have a name for it in Jamaica, Tony and Meg Fashion. That's what we call it. That's the kind of innovation we're talking about. Our network has actually been built and designed 100% by Jamaicans. Because you have to design it that way, otherwise you're going to pay an arm and a leg. Foreign consultants will want to sell you anything they want. If people know what they're doing are local and know what we need here, you can get rid of all the fluff and design it the way you want to design it. So our network has been built entirely by the Jamaicans, designed by the Jamaicans. We will innovate, determined, we will never quit, and yummy. You're going to always come back to us for more. I'll let you be the judge. Are we ready? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daring, and I'd also like to thank Mr. Cornell Green for their wonderful presentation. Would you agree that this is informative? Is there anybody who learned something that they absolutely never knew before? Just put up your hand. Absolutely never knew before. What is it that you learned that you absolutely did not know before? All right. Looking at the time, and we do have some refreshments here. I have to do more giveaways, and I'm sure you're used to what I'm going to do to make those giveaways possible, right? I'm going to read you our official vote of that. So close the session. However, I'd like you all to stay for us to interact and do some giveaways. Mr. Mary is also offering to give away 2 of these set-top boxes. You know how that goes. Pick it up, you hook it up, and you pop it up. Or even if you want to run and save your green channels. So I'd just like to move the vote of thanks firstly by saying thank you to the Executive Director of the Broadcasting Commission, Mr. Cordell Green, Mr. Chris Daring, co-CEO of Ready TV, the Jamaica Institution of Engineers, the IEEE Jamaica section. We want to thank the students who have volunteered their time and efforts in making the session run smoothly. I would like to thank Ricardo for introducing Mr. Green. I'd like to thank Shanique for introducing Mr. Daring and Bill. I'd like to thank Kareem for manning the desk at the front. Hakeem, Adrian, are among those who also assisted in making this session possible. So, if there's any name that I didn't call specifically, there are persons who haven't. I would also like to thank you all for coming. Happy to know that you have learned something new and have gotten good information. And so, what I'm going to do at this time is ask you to partake in refreshment at the back while I work along with Mr. Hakeem to interact with you in question and answer. So thanks to you again. Yourselves, I want a round of applause. And we're going to have the 2 set-top boxes. So you can go ahead. Your feedback form, yes. If you could, is Kareem? Yes. Oh, yes. Okay. I'll just ask Mr. Ricardo, Hunter, if you go by the table, you can leave your feedback form at the table with Mr. Hunter, and we appreciate that. All right. So you can all come up here. Oh, yes. I'd like someone to come up here with Alright, I have 4 dress to go away, and I'd like people to name 4 countries, so 1 person each, that have completely switch over digital. Yeah, each person needs one, and give me a country that has completely
You have the, you know what you do? Show me on your Wi-Fi. If it's not on my list, more.